If you can answer, I'll do anything you say. It was a mixer set up by a high school friend. There, Lily, the daughter of a company CEO and once considered the cutest in school, gave us a daring smile and posed a tough question to us. Every man there, eager to win over this woman of our dreams, racked his brain. But no one could answer. Yet, the answer came to me instantly. As I said it aloud, a murmur swept through the room. And then, from Lily herself, words I could hardly believe reached my ears. "You know, I still like you." Saying that, she drew closer to me. "My name is Will. I used to work for a company, but now I run my own business. Although it's small and demanding, managing things myself suits me well, and I feel fulfilled every day." Then, one day, I got a message from Jack. "Hey, Will, we're having a mixer soon. You're coming, too." "Huh? What's with the sudden invite?" Jack was an old high school classmate of mine. He's the son of a company CEO and was always looking down on me, probably because I was raised by a single mom and only finished high school. No doubt, he invited me this time to make himself look better. I was about to refuse when Jack's next words made me catch my breath. "Lily's coming, too. You remember her, right? We all went to high school together. Lily. How could I forget? I used to date her. It was back in our junior year. She became class president through a drawing, and I got the role of vice president. Nobody else wanted to do it. Don't get any ideas just because you're paired up with Lily, Will," Jack said, clearly jealous. And he had good reason. Lily was famous for being the CEO's girl in school, smart, athletic, and the daughter of a CEO. Everyone thought she was perfect. "Nice to work with you as vice president, Will," Lily said, flashing me a warm smile, which, to my embarrassment, I awkwardly stumbled to reply to. Even though I probably didn't make the best first impression, Lily continued to be friendly with me afterward. As someone who struggled with social interactions, I was genuinely grateful for that. Working together on class projects, I noticed her curiosity was endless. Even in the middle of tasks given by teachers or classmates, if something caught her interest, she'd drop everything and dive right into it. For instance, she'd get curious about why different types of cicadas have unique sounds, suddenly start solving a complex math problem, begin researching historical events like the Shays' Rebellion, or even practice Morse code and teach it to me so we could exchange messages that way. Naturally, as vice president, I often picked up whatever tasks she'd abandoned. But I didn't mind at all. "Listen, Will. Cicadas' sounds vary because of differences in their abdominal cavity size and the way their abdominal plates move." She would come to me, practically glowing with excitement, eager to share whatever she'd just discovered. Her eyes sparkled as if she'd made some groundbreaking discovery, and seeing her like that was so endearing that it was no wonder I fell for her. As long as she was happy, I didn't mind picking up the slack. I never planned to confess my feelings. She was way out of my league, just watching her light up was enough for me. Then, to my astonishment, she confessed to me, and we started dating. The news spread through school like wildfire. "Hey, Will, I heard you're dating Lily. Break up with her now. She's a perfect daughter of a CEO, acing school and sports. While you're nothing but a kid from a single-parent household with no particular skills. Surely. You understand you're in completely different worlds?" Jack had always been direct with his jabs like that. I knew that most people around us probably shared his view that Lily and I were a mismatch. Even I didn't believe we were truly a match. But that didn't mean I was going to break up with her over it. If I didn't measure up, I'd just work hard to become the kind of guy who did. I threw myself into studying, sports, and the responsibilities of being vice president. But all that effort didn't pay off. "Will, I want to break up." It was less than 3 months into our relationship when Lily said those words. It hurt, but somewhere deep down, I wasn't entirely surprised. I see, I replied. But could you tell me why? I need to make sense of it. Because we live in different worlds. She spoke hesitantly, looking down as she struggled to find the words. All I could say was, all right, and then I walked away. We continued working on committee tasks together, but from then on, she never abandoned her duties halfway through like before. And we never really spoke again. Another year passed, and when we became seniors, we ended up in different classes. Eventually, we stopped even catching each other's eye. That was the end of things with Lily. But even after being dumped, I couldn't let her go. I tried to accept her reason that we lived in different worlds, but it never fully settled. Even now, a decade later, she still lingers in my mind. When Jack mentioned she'd be at the mixer, I thought maybe this was a chance. Just one look at her, and then I could let go, or so I told myself. All right, I'll come, I told Jack. And then, on the day of the mixer, as I walked into the bar Jack had chosen, a few people had already gathered. Everyone there was a high school classmate, so it felt a bit like a mini reunion. Hey, Will, long time no see. So what are you up to now? Oh, just working at a regular company. Yeah, I figured. Guess you didn't make it to college, huh? Kinda limits your options, doesn't it? After a bit of small talk, everyone drifted back into their own conversations. Not that I expected anyone to be all that interested in me anyway, so I just shrugged it off. Hey, Jack. Lily. One of the group members waved toward the entrance. I took a deep breath, bracing myself as I looked over. And I couldn't look away. 10 years had only made Lily more stunning. Everyone in the bar couldn't help but be mesmerized by her. Seeing Jack beside her, escorting her in, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. I came here to put an end to things, yet seeing her now was only making me fall all over again. I quickly shifted my gaze away. With Lily's arrival, everyone was finally here, and the mixer began. But soon enough, it became Lily's show. Every guy there was vying to talk to her, while the women sipped their drinks, sighing, "This is so boring." Hey, Jack, you came in with Lily, didn't you? Did you just happen to run into her at the entrance? One of the guys suddenly asked Jack. Jack's face lit up with satisfaction, as if he'd been waiting for the chance to answer. My company and Lily's are partners. That's how we got to know each other, both being children of CEOs, you know. He added, stressing the last part. Jack looked at me and widened his eyes in feigned surprise. Oh, so you actually came, Will. I did get your RSVP, but honestly, I thought you'd get cold feet at the last minute and bail. I sighed inwardly. Some things never change. To everyone's surprise, Lily leaned into Jack, feigning a sympathetic look. Now, Jack, don't be mean. I bet he's been single ever since I dated him back in high school. He's probably just desperate. True enough. But honestly, what kind of woman would want a guy from a single-parent household with no real talents? Jack's words didn't faze me, but hearing Lily say something like that hurt. Sure, her beauty had only grown over the years, but it seemed her personality hadn't fared as well. Feeling a pang of disappointment, I tried to see this as a chance to finally let her go for good. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's play a game. Lily suggested. We'll draw lots, and the person who pulls the winning ticket gets to ask a question. If anyone can answer, the questioner has to do whatever they say. But if no one can answer, the questioner gets to give everyone an order. Everyone agreed with Lily's suggestion, saying, "Sounds fun." Caught up in the atmosphere, I ended up joining in as well. A few safe questions were asked, with those who answered giving mild orders like reveal who you had a crush on in high school or sing a popular song. Then Lily drew the winning lot. I could feel the men around me hold their breath. She studied the winning ticket for a moment, then gave a sly smile. All right, here's my question. There's a book with one torn page. If you add up the numbers of the remaining pages, they total 15,000. So, which page is missing? Silence fell over the group. The women quickly admitted defeat, while the men hunched over, curiously trying to solve the puzzle. Looks like this could take a while. Alright, I'll give you all just one more minute, Lily announced. When Lily said that, the men exclaimed, "What?" and began scratching their heads. Aren't you going to try, Will? Oh, wait, sorry. I bet this one's a bit too hard for you. You probably gave up from the start, didn't you? Lily's fingers tapped a rhythm on the table. I noticed the pattern and immediately began running calculations in my head. The missing pages are 25 and 26. Correct, she replied with a satisfied nod. All the men went pale. What? No way. How did you figure it out? Jack demanded, practically lunging at me. I jotted down the equation on a napkin and showed them. Everyone there nodded in understanding, murmuring, "I see." The women, suddenly intrigued, gathered around me. Will, that's amazing. You worked out that formula, and in your head, no less, with only a minute to spare. I was a bit at a loss, having gone from nearly invisible to suddenly at the center of attention. All right, Lily interrupted. The winner gets to give me an order. So, Will, what would you like me to do? Come with me. All right, then. Looks like we're off, everyone. See you around. Lily and I each got our things together and stepped out of the bar. I noticed Jack glaring at me, clearly frustrated, but I ignored him. Outside, the night had fully settled in, the streets quiet and bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. We headed to a nearby cafe. Its quiet atmosphere perfect at this late hour. Will, you're just as smart as ever, Lily said with a smile after we ordered coffee and dessert. I sighed. That question, it was deliberate, wasn't it? You knew I'd remember it from back when you taught me how to solve it. Of course. But I had to take a gamble on whether you'd still remember. She looked delighted, her eyes gleaming as she glanced at the apple pie on the table. I'd thought her personality had changed for the worse, but I'd been wrong. She hadn't changed at all. I felt a quiet relief as I took a sip of coffee. I actually wasn't going to answer since I already knew the problem. But then you went and tapped out that Morse code. Yep. I'm so glad you still remember it. Makes all those lessons I gave you in high school worth it. Lily smiled, tapping the table rhythmically. At the mixer. It had meant I want to be alone with you, and now it seemed to mean I'm happy. She'd been sending me these little signals all along. So, what's this all about? You went to all that trouble. Seems like it's something Jack can't hear? That's right. Well, Will, I still like you. What? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But her serious gaze confirmed it wasn't a joke. My heart started racing, and I could feel my face heating up. Still. What do you mean? You were the one who ended things back then. That's true. But. She bit her lip and looked down, hesitating. Just then, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. I have to go. Will, let's exchange contact info. Huh? Why? Because I told you I still like you. She repeated the words, making my face flush even more. I couldn't help but chuckle as we swapped contacts. Well, see you around. She winked at me, finishing her apple pie and tea in no time, then left the cafe. I let out a long sigh. I took a sip of coffee, hoping it would help me calm down. But every time I looked at Lily's name, now added in my messaging app, I couldn't relax at all. A few days later, a message popped up from Lily. Do you want to go to the new theme park in the next town? She sent a picture of 2 tickets, and I knew right away there was no room for a no. It was just like when we dated before. Back then, she'd pick a date location like or going to the museum. Buy the tickets and leave me no choice but to go along. Feeling a rush of nostalgia, I couldn't help but smile. Sunday arrived with clear skies. The perfect weather for a theme park. We'd agreed to meet at 10 a.m., but Lily hadn't shown up, even as the hour passed. I was just starting to worry that something had happened when I saw her rushing toward me. Sorry for the wait, Will. You okay? Did the train get delayed? No, it's not that. I couldn't finish some work yesterday, so I had to stop by the office. Wait, you work on Saturdays too? Being the CEO's daughter means there's a lot to handle. Anyway, let's hurry in. I've been looking forward to this. With her tugging eagerly at my hand, I didn't get the chance to ask more about work. Will, which ride do you want to go on first? Lily grabbed a park map by the entrance, looking at me expectantly. I was so surprised, I stared at her. What? Did I say something weird? No. I just figured you'd drag me to whatever you wanted without asking. That's how our dates went back in high school, didn't they? I'm not the same girl I was back then. I've grown up, you know. Blushing slightly, she pouted. Then wrapped her arm around mine, urging me to choose something. With my heart racing, I decided on a roller coaster. I remembered she used to love the thrill rides. That was so much fun. By the time the western sky was tinged with a soft red, we were leaving the park. Today, Lily let me pick all the rides and even the food. I chose things I thought she'd enjoy, and from her satisfied smile, it seemed like she did. With a refreshed expression, Lily stretched out widely. So, Will, where do you want to go next? She asked, leaning in close to look at my face. It felt odd for me to be the one picking the destination. Was this really a date, after all? She told me she liked me, but I haven't given her an answer, and she doesn't seem to be in any rush for one. Hey, Will? She called, tugging insistently on my arm, snapping me back to reality. Oh, right. How about the museum? There's a special exhibit I've been curious about. Ooh, the museum. That sounds great. Let's go, she replied, her face lighting up with excitement. Seeing her so happy, I steeled myself. Lily, about my response from the other day. Oh no. I have to hurry back, or my dad's going to get mad. I'll text you later, Will. Cutting me off, Lily quickly headed home. I stood there, dumbfounded, watching her walk away, unable to do anything else. The following Sunday, we met directly at the museum. I arrived 20 minutes early and found some shade to escape the blazing sun. But even so, the heat made me sweat. Sorry to keep you waiting, Will. Lily arrived. But something seemed off. Her face was redder than usual. And even in this heat, she wasn't sweating at all. Lily, are you all right? Huh? What do you mean? She tilted her head in confusion, but her voice lacked its usual energy. Let's just go inside already, it's so hot. She mumbled, taking a step forward before stumbling slightly. I quickly caught her, alarmed by how hot her body felt. Even considering the high temperature, she was burning up. We rushed inside the building. I asked the receptionist to let us use the first aid room. Lily, do you have a headache? Are you feeling nauseous? Yes, it hurts. I feel sick. She replied, her voice faint and lifeless. From her condition, I quickly realized she was probably suffering from heat stroke. Using the ice packs provided in the first aid room, I worked to cool her down and helped her sip some oral rehydration drinks. You're welcome to use as much as you need, the receptionist kindly assured me. I'm starting to feel a little better. She murmured, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Did you eat breakfast, Lily? I asked. She gave a slight nod, though her gaze avoided mine. What about sleep? Are you getting enough at night? This time, she shook her head. And my heart tightened. And brakes. I started, but the words caught in my throat. The answer was all too obvious. Are you taking any at all? The other day, you mentioned working over the weekend. A hint of frustration crept into my voice. Lily stayed silent. But her silence spoke volumes. So, you're not, are you? I came to that conclusion in my mind. I could see Lily's shoulders trembling slightly. A long silence hung between us. Finally, she slowly lifted her head. Her eyes a mix of determination and uncertainty. Her voice shook as she began. I'm working at my dad's company now. I held my breath. The weight of Lily's words sank deep into my heart. Our family business, it hasn't been doing well for a long time. Her voice faltered. I thought if I could help my dad somehow, all I could really do was work. Lily took a deep breath and began speaking again, her voice trembling. I first realized things weren't going well when I was a junior in high school, right around the time we started dating. She closed her eyes for a moment, as if revisiting that memory. Before that, I was only thinking about myself. I didn't know anything about the company and just did whatever I wanted. Everyone spoiled me because I was the CEO's daughter, and I let it go to my head. Tears started to form in her eyes. I believed we had plenty of money and never questioned it. So, I'd ask my parents to let me travel abroad, buy expensive books. I made a lot of selfish demands. She gave a sad smile, shaking her head slightly. But it wasn't like that at all. We didn't have nearly as much money as I thought. And yet, my parents. Her voice caught in her throat. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to continue. Despite everything, my parents still granted my every whim. Now I realize just how much they must have sacrificed. A single tear traced down her cheek. One day, my father told me, the company might go bankrupt. That one sentence changed everything for me. Lily clenched her fists tightly. It was such a shock, and I realized how much I'd been relying on them. I felt I had to repay all the money I'd wasted. So I started working part-time. She raised her head slightly, looking into my eyes. But I didn't want anyone to know. Especially not you. Her voice was tinged with sorrow. Everyone saw me as this perfect person. I was terrified that if they saw my weakness, they'd all abandon me, that fear was always there. She let out a long, heavy sigh. So I kept it all a secret. But as I kept working, I lost more and more time with you. Another tear fell from her eyes. I was struggling every day, and before I knew it, we'd grown distant. But even then, I always. Her voice trembled. I'm sorry, Will. I should have told you everything back then. But I was afraid. I thought if you saw how weak I really was, you'd hate me. Lily covered her face with both hands. A sharp pain pierced my heart. You should have told me. I was your boyfriend. At the very least, I could have been there to listen. That's exactly why I didn't tell you. Because I knew you'd say that. You're too kind, Will. Lily gripped the hem of her skirt tightly. Do you remember that time before we started dating, back in our first year? You helped me once. I tilted my head, trying to remember. Lily smiled. There was a time when I was being bullied by a senior. She didn't like me because the guy she liked had a crush on me. She'd hidden my shoes. And I couldn't go home until I found them. You helped me look for them. I remembered. I recalled helping a girl look for her missing shoes. I found out later that you had practiced that day, didn't you? It was an important day, deciding who would play in the upcoming tournament. But instead, you looked for my shoes and ended up late, missing your chance. Even if I hadn't been late, I might not have made it, so it's not something you need to worry about, Lily. Maybe, but still, you put yourself second to help me. That's why I fell in love with you. When we were in the same class and got paired up on the committee in our second year, it felt like fate. So I confessed to you. And I became your girlfriend. But, as I mentioned, that's when I learned about the troubles at my father's company. I knew if you found out, you'd sacrifice yourself for me again. So, I broke up with you. I thought that if I said we lived in different worlds, you'd give up on me. As Lily finished speaking, the first date room fell silent. Is the company still struggling now? Yes, but Jack's father said he'd help fund the company. If I marry Jack, that is. I was speechless. Lily gave a bitter smile. If I marry him, I won't be able to see you like this anymore, right? Or tell you how much I've always loved you. I knew I'd regret it if I didn't say anything. So, I had him set up that mixer so I could see you. I'm sorry for the way I acted at first, I didn't mean to put you down. I couldn't risk losing his support. Before I knew it, I was embracing her. My body moved on its own. And I felt her take a sharp breath in my arms. You're the one sacrificing yourself now. Please, lean on me. I still love you, Lily. I've carried this feeling since high school. But I've only ever thought about myself. That's who I am. I'm not the perfect person everyone thinks I am. I know that. I held her a little tighter as she spoke, her voice thick with tears. I know you're endlessly curious, and once something catches your attention, you lose track of everything else. I was the one who picked up the work you left behind back then, remember? But I didn't mind. I actually enjoyed it. You're strange, Will. Are you really sure about me? It's you I want, Lily. Lily looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. When I wiped them away, she smiled softly and pressed her lips to mine. After thoroughly enjoying the museum, we went to a nearby cafe, where we began discussing our future over lunch. But then, heavy footsteps approached. And as I looked up, there was Jack. Glaring down at us, eyebrows raised. Lily, what's going on here? Cheating on me? It's not like that, Jack. We just happened to meet. Don't lie. You two went to the museum together, didn't you? Jack held up his phone, showing me the screen. It displayed a photo of us entering the museum together. A chill ran down my spine. Had he been following Lily? Jack grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her up roughly. The water on our table shook violently. Will, Lily is my fiancée. If you have any sense of decency, you'll never see her again. He shot me a piercing look before dragging Lily away. She glanced back at me, worry written on her face. I mouthed, "It's okay," and she nodded firmly in response. Jack stopped and, as if suddenly remembering, turned back with a smug expression. Oh, and we'll be officially announcing the engagement at the upcoming party. You're invited. A cold smirk crossed his lips. Just sit back and watch as Lily becomes someone you'll never reach. With that, he pulled Lily away. Taking a deep breath, I stepped off the elevator into the grand hall of the luxury hotel. It was the 30th anniversary party for Carson Corporation. And the stage for Jack and Lily's engagement announcement. As I entered the lavish venue, an air of elegance enveloped me. The chandelier's lights sparkled off the guests' dresses and suits, filling the room with a shimmering glow. Quite a lavish event. I quietly observed my surroundings, taking everything in. Political heavyweights, influential business leaders, and even celebrities from the entertainment world. Figures from Japan's so-called upper society filled the room. In the midst of it all, Jack walked briskly, leading Lily by his side. A faint shadow darkened her expression. My chest tightened painfully. After a moment, Jack stepped up to the center of the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for gathering here today to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Carson Corporation. His voice resonated throughout the venue. I quietly pushed my way through the crowd, moving closer to the front. And on this joyous occasion, I have one more important announcement to make. Jack continued, taking Lily's hand and smiling warmly at her. The sight stoked a burning anger within me. Today, I am honored to introduce my fiancée, Lily Harris. A wave of applause rippled through the audience. It was the moment I'd been waiting for. Stop! My voice rang out across the hall. And in an instant, every eye was on me. Jack's face contorted with shock and anger. Will! What do you think you're doing here? I stepped forward with a steady resolve toward the stage. I'm here to tell the truth, Jack. A murmur spread through the crowd. Everyone, I'd like to reveal the real Jack Carson, I announced. Taking my phone from my pocket, I began operating it. And evidence of Jack's interference with Harris Foods, Lily's father's company, appeared on the venue's large screen. This is proof of Jack's illegal sabotage against his fiancée Lily's father's business. The room erupted in shock. And Jack's face grew pale. Jack carried out these tactics to damage Harris Foods' operations, weakening it financially. He then exploited the vulnerability he'd created, offering to finance the company only on the condition that he could marry Lily, the daughter of Harris Foods' CEO. Suddenly, Jack burst into mocking laughter. Everyone, calm down. Do you know who this joker is? He's a rare breed, a high school graduate. Who would believe anything he says? Murmurs of surprise rippled through the audience. And Jack continued, clearly confident in his victory. Look at him. A guy who didn't even go to college. How would he ever get access to confidential information about our company? I took a deep breath and replied calmly. Yes, I am a high school graduate. My family couldn't afford college because I was raised by a single mother. Jack sneered, enjoying the moment. See? This guy's just a... But I cut him off, standing tall and addressing the entire room. However, if you hear my name, you'll understand who I really am. I looked out over the crowd and announced clearly. My name is Will Turner. After a moment of stunned silence, the room erupted in whispers. Jack's expression shifted to shock as he yelled. Are you insane? That name. Just then, a voice rang out. You, sir. The voice of Jack's father echoed through the hall. The elderly gentleman approached me, his expression a mix of astonishment and respect. I never imagined. Could you truly be that, Will Turner? Jack looked at his father, utterly bewildered. Father? You know this man? His father turned to him with a stern expression. You fool. This man is a major shareholder in our company. And? The elder gentleman then bowed deeply to me. He's the brilliant entrepreneur who used AI-driven innovations to revolutionize our industry within a few short years. The crowd held its breath. Jack's face turned pale. No. It can't be. Impossible. Yes, I am a high school graduate. But I worked twice as hard as anyone else to get where I am today. I remember the day I graduated. I had given up on college to care for my mother, who was ill, and the fear of an uncertain future weighed heavily on me. But in a faint voice, my mother said, Will, you're smart. I know you can carve out your own path. Those words changed my life. During the day, I worked at a factory, and at night, I taught myself programming. I slept just 4 hours a night. The joy I felt when I got my first program to run. It's all a part of who I am today. And then, I had a fateful encounter. One of the senior workers at the factory saw a program I'd written and was amazed. Hey, Will, you're incredible. Think you could redesign our company's system? That one question was the start of my career. Word spread, and soon, I was getting offers even from major companies. While honing my programming skills, I also studied management. I borrowed books from the library and read them tirelessly, sacrificing sleep. Then, I discovered AI technology. I knew instantly, this was it. With AI, I could accomplish what had once seemed impossible. It wasn't just about efficiency, it was about creating new value. 3 years ago, I decided to start my own company. Everyone around me was against it. What could a young high school grad possibly achieve, they said. But I had a dream. I wanted to change the world with technology. I wanted to help people who, like my mother, were in difficult situations. I worked day and night. I failed more times than I could count. But I never gave up. And now, my company has reached the point of revolutionizing the industry. I spoke calmly, yet firmly. Jack, I can no longer overlook your corruption and the despicable actions you've taken against Harris Foods. Ladies and gentlemen, I continued, addressing the audience. I am about to announce the new policies for Carson Corporation. First, we will conduct a thorough review of all fraudulent transactions and illegal activities to date, handling them transparently instead of hiding them. Jack's face twisted in anger. But I pressed on. Second, we will improve the working conditions for our employees. Unpaid overtime and unfair treatment will be entirely eliminated. And we will create an environment where people can work with dignity. A few small claps began to echo through the crowd. Third, we will leverage our technological strengths to prioritize projects that contribute to society. Our goal is not only profit but also the creation of social value. The applause grew louder. And finally, I looked over at Lily, noticing the tears glistening in her eyes. A word about Harris Foods, her father's company. The room fell silent. We will provide full support to Harris Foods, which has been subjected to unfair pressures and interference. Lily looked at me, her face full of surprise. Specifically, we will offer our AI technology free of charge to assist in improving productivity and quality control. We'll also use our network to expand distribution channels, so Harris Foods' high-quality products can reach more consumers. Tears began to spill down Lily's cheeks. Additionally, we will fully compensate for the damages caused by Carson Corporation's previous interference, I added. A wave of astonishment rippled through the crowd. Harris Foods is an outstanding company built on integrity and quality, and it embodies the values every business should strive for. Going forward, I hope to build a relationship where we can grow together and inspire each other. I smiled at Lily. Lily, from now on, pursue your dreams without interference. We'll give our all to support you in making them come true. Lily covered her face with her hands, her shoulders trembling as she cried. These are the new policies of the reformed Carson Corporation. From this moment, we commit to being an honest, sincere, and socially responsible company. I sincerely ask for your understanding and support. When I finished speaking, the hall was wrapped in silence. Then, in the next moment, a wave of applause broke out. Jack's father approached me, bowing deeply. I apologize. We will thoroughly investigate my son's actions based on the evidence you've gathered. I ask for your continued support for our company. Thank you. I will do my utmost to meet everyone's expectations. Jack's father bowed to me repeatedly, clearly humbled. Suddenly, Jack, standing nearby, punched the wall in frustration. Don't mess with me. I've liked Lily since high school. But she chose you, Will. When you two broke up, I was relieved. But no matter how many times I tried to get close to her, she'd never say yes. I had no other way to make her mine, and now here you are again, ruining everything. In a sudden, fierce motion, Lily slapped Jack across the face. Caught off guard, he stumbled backward, landing on the floor and looking up at her in shock. Enough! Do you even realize how much trouble you've caused others? When I was struggling, you kept pushing for dates and asking me to be with you, completely ignoring my situation. I would never fall for someone as selfish as you. Lily's tears started to flow freely. I gently rubbed her back, and she buried her face in my chest, sobbing. Jack stayed silent, head bowed, still kneeling on the floor. In the end, Jack was arrested for his role in the business interference. Being the son of the Carson's CEO, Jack managed to settle things by paying a fine and wasn't fired from the company. But he was removed from the list of potential successors. Furthermore, he was demoted to a regular employee, with no chance of promotion ever again. A few months later, I was working alongside Lily at Harris Foods. "Oh, this design looks great," I said, standing next to her and examining the new packaging. "Optimized through AI, it looks sleek and functional." "Yeah, it's fantastic. This will be definitely sold," Lily replied, her eyes shining. On the wall monitor, a performance graph for Harris Foods was displayed. The curve showed a steady, impressive rise since the implementation, beautifully charted on the screen. "Our sales are up 1.5 times from last year, and profits have doubled," Lily murmured, clearly moved. "Thanks to AI optimizing our production management and the new markets we've tapped into," I replied with satisfaction. Just then, Lily's assistant, Ben, entered the room. "Ms. Harris, amazing news. We just received a huge order from that upscale supermarket." Lily looked up at me in surprise. I just gave her a sly grin. With this, my dad's dream of nationwide expansion might actually become a reality. Tears glistened in Lily's eyes. Harris Foods sales were thriving. Not long after, Lily's father personally called me in and bowed deeply. "It looks like we're finally escaping the vicious cycle we were in." "I can't thank you enough, Will." Lily stood beside him, bowing as well. Her father glanced at her with a warm look. I nearly let everything fall onto this girl's shoulders. She's always been so capable, helping us by working multiple part-time jobs since high school. I leaned on her too much. But from now on, I'll make sure she doesn't have to carry the weight alone. "Dad, I really don't mind," Lily began. "No, my mind is made up." "Lily, from now on, if it's too much, just say so. I don't want you pushing yourself anymore. That's what family is for, to support one another, right?" Lily nodded sincerely. After ruffling her hair affectionately, her father asked her to walk me out. We walked side by side. Above us stretched a perfectly clear sky. As we strolled, Lily gently intertwined her fingers with mine. "Thank you so much, Will. Not only for handling the situation with Jack but for helping save our company. I did it because it's what I wanted to do. Plus, my company's revenue is up, too, thanks to contracting some work with yours." Lily smiled at my reply. I tightened my grip on her hand just a little. "Lily, will you marry me? I want to be by your side, supporting you for the rest of our lives." Her cheeks flushed red. Then she broke into a radiant smile. "I want to support you, too. From now on, I want to be with you always." She buried her face in my chest. Holding her close, I felt an overwhelming sense of love. No one is perfect. That's why we rely on each other, finding strength in mutual support. She had once been seen as flawless by those around her, even while she quietly shouldered her struggles. Now, I want to stand by her, helping each other along as we walk through life together.